Here with Dan LANGHI today. I know he's familiar to a lot of sports fans, and he's here on Marshall County coaching staff now. Dan, I know it's bound to be a colorful journey from the time that you played middle school basketball in Marshall County, went through the high school, college, pro, foreign country ranks back here. I know the viewers would like to hear a little bit of that story.
Yeah, it's been a long journey that's actually continuing. I guess it's just, I've been very blessed to be able to be involved in something that I've enjoyed all my life. Growing up here playing, actually I came here in 5th grade, played elementary, played middle school here at South, and came here to the high school, and we fortunate to play on a team, had a lot of success. A lot of hard work though, but still some of the most fondest memories I've had in my career playing here at Marshall County, and then fortunate enough to play at Vanderbilt. And I really learned what hard work was there playing in the SEC. Back then the SEC, I won't say it is like it is today. Today it's just ridiculously talented, but several top 25 teams, and had some very success there, and learned what hard work was, and was blessed to have success there, and end up being SEC Player of the Year, and then started my pro career, played, which that was another big adjustment. I think that's the biggest thing I learned, is just the different adjustments each level, and how much harder and more dedicated you have to be to have continued success, and how the margin for error really decreases each level. And then played several years professionally, fortunate enough to be drafted. Played several years NBA, then went overseas, and by then I had a family. I think I played almost close to 11 years professionally, and then my kids started getting older, and I did have a house in Houston for 7 years, but after about year 3, I was always looking for something back here, because this place has always been special to me, and it's hard for people to really understand that unless they've kind of been through that process, how unique this area is. That looking for a place back here, and knew I was going to end up moving back here, and moved back here, and was fortunate enough to be able to, I guess, instill some of the knowledge I've learned over the years, and the different coaches that I've played for, the different styles. And it's something I've always enjoyed, working with kids. And when I first moved back, got involved, of course my oldest 2 were girls, got involved in the middle school level with them, coaching middle school basketball, and then moved up to the high school ranks with Coach Simmons, and then went through that process, and then also coached middle school boys with my son, and then now I'm on the high school boys staff with him. And but it's something I've enjoyed. I coached volleyball for I think 7 years here. Coached anything from little league football, middle school football. It's just something I've enjoyed doing, something I guess a way for me to give back to the community and try to influence the youth.
I know Marshall County is glad to have you back here with all your experience and on the coaching staff. And also they've been real proud of, you had a couple of girls came through here and played basketball, and now your son's playing here.
Yeah.
So the LANGHI name is pretty popular right here in Marshall County.
It is, and it's been very blessed, and this is the last one coming through, so I've tried to think about it, because I guess it was Donnie and Michael were here before we were here. So you had Donnie, and the number 42 is just, I guess, goes hand in hand with LANGHI. And so Donnie was here, then Michael, then my older brother was here, and then I came through. So I don't know how many, you might know how many years there was a LANGHI. Then there was a little brief, and then my daughter came through. Then when she graduated, then you had my other daughter come through, and then there was a year. Now my son. So I mean, and then you had me. And, I mean, it's just
yeah, that's great. That's
a
good.
wide, a wide range of it, and
Well, I know through those years, there must have been some very different kinds of incidents that came up in basketball. Knowing from being in basketball all my life, that there's unusual incidents and some funny stories that come up.
Yeah.
You got anything in mind there?
Well, I mean, there's been a bunch, good and probably negative, and some probably that I guess don't need to be shared, but probably in high school there was a couple. One of them was, which I won't say the person's name, but I remember well, back then, too, when we played, the gym was absolutely packed. That bleachers was pulled out, and it was always real fun and a great atmosphere. But I remember, of course, our bench was down there, and free throw was down on this end, and a player that didn't play a whole lot, but he was a sub off the bench, was shooting a free throw. I just thought about it, and he went through this long routine, he always did, and he shot it, holds his follow through, and the ball was about 3 foot short and about 3 foot to the right. You probably remember this story, and Mr. Coach Childs, and the gym got quiet, and Coach Childs was like, said the person's name, "Hey, can you please fake a heart attack so I can sub you out of the game?" You remember that? And so that was one that was, I just remember that was pretty funny. And then we also had some that weren't so fun to go through, but I think it developed our bond as teammates, is when we had a particularly bad practice. And back then, you know how it is, you coached a little bit different. And when you weren't playing well, then you're going to run until you decide to do things right. And one particular practice, we were running at 17 after 17 after 17, and coach was walking around the top, and like after each 17, he'd ask a player, "Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's worth it?" One decided it wasn't, and he quit that day. But also, I think that brought us together. Through misery, it brought us together as a team, and that's the year we went to the Final Four. I think that was it really bonded us together, because in different things, when you go through troubled times and you pull through together, it just kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I know you've probably experienced it through athletics. It's a bond that can't be broken, and
Sure.
You're willing to do something for a teammate that you might not be, but it's because you shared that misery and you pulled through, it just brings you closer. So, but that's some from high school. But
Right.
yeah.
What do you think might be one of the biggest changes that's happened in basketball since you were playing back years ago?
I was very blessed, but I know when I was coming through, which I think it was because I grew late, but if you were over 6'5", you were stuck in the post. And now it's become a lot more open game, where you don't necessarily have a prototypical back to the basket guy. 5 guys on the floor can shoot at times. Everybody should be, it's really moving to a more drive kick, threes or attack the rim. It's and analytics are in it now, where, it's, you look at a coach like Nate Oates, it's you either shoot a three or you shoot a layup, and so you see a lot more threes now with the 3-point line, which I had it, but it wasn't as much of a focus as it is now. But it is, at times I don't think it's quite as physical. But then again, when you get into playoff time, if you look at the physicality comes up even in the high school level. A lot of calls aren't being made. But I know when I played professionally, or even growing up, if you came across the lane or if somebody came across the lane and you didn't hit them, then you weren't doing what you're supposed to do. Now it's a little bit more free flowing, but I don't know. I mean, it's trade-offs. I think it's a fun style to watch, and I think a lot more players I would say maybe enjoy it a little bit more because they're more involved offensively. They might not necessarily just be, hey, my job's to go pick or my job's to go do that. But I think it also makes it a little bit harder to guard people when you can do that style. And it's you know how things. It seems like things go in cycles.
Sure.
And I'm sure now you still see the prototypical center here and there, shot blocking center that can't shoot. But I think it's become to where I would say more kids 1 through 5 are more skilled would probably be the best way to put it.
And this is a program. You're on a program here that we call it the West Kentucky Basketball Heritage Museum. I know there are so many people that enjoy these old stories. Also, we're putting a lot of things on the website where someone can look back and say, my granddaddy played on this team, and here's the story of that game, and here's his name, and he scored 14 points that game. We're trying to preserve things like that and things that people are interested in basketball, and I think it's developing a lot of interest and enthusiasm throughout Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, which me not being, I'm moving in here at 5th grade. I don't know a lot, but you do know there's a lot of history in this end of the state. And if you had a lot of players that a lot of people don't know about that have went on and had successful careers, and it's probably because, we don't have the media market that, your Louisvilles and Lexingtons, but if you dive into it, there is a lot of history and a lot of different things, and there's been a lot of success that's come out of this end of the state that a lot of people might not know, but it's a good thing for people like this right here where they can know things like that, different things like that. I guarantee a lot of people you go ask, a lot of people I play with and coaches that I've played under that probably can be Hall of Famers, that they probably don't know who Jumpin' Joe was, different things like that. So it's a very unique situation, and I think it's going to be something that'll be very interesting.
And
that
we're
people
doing
can
this
have.
in 13 counties for boys and girls basketball. And what we found very interesting, in those 13 counties, there have been 86 high schools in times past. And it's amazing that we can go out and dig up some of the old stories that happened. Just for instance, I was in Crittenden County the other day, and we're working on the story where Tulu was a runner-up in the 1931 state tournament. Well, not a lot of people know about that. But we want to preserve that type of thing out there, and we really appreciate you coming on and telling this today. And I know there'll be a number of people that'll be very interested in your story, and we thank you a lot.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.